Hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. This is Simply Halie Cheri and I am Simply Halie Cheri. Okay, so what we're gonna do today, also first of all, if you hear something, that's a fan. It's hot. Alright, so what we're gonna do today is I wanted to share my favorite art supplies or things that I literally use every single time that I paint. I think that counts. Also, this kind of works if you're just getting started painting. I think these are also the things that I would use again if I was starting to paint. So let's get into it. One of the first ways that I got started painting was I was painting during my graduate program and I didn't have a lot of paper towels and I didn't want to keep using paper towels because we was on a budget, alright? So what did I do? I grabbed a towel. I grabbed any old towel that I had. This is the one that I started using. It is very used and I have a little mound of paint that I just scrape off my excess paint onto, and then I cut this off every now and then. I have them around here somewhere. I just cut off little pieces of paint that pile up. And I think this is really handy because not only do you save on paper towels, but you kind of get a cool little piece of art in the making. So yeah, this is one of my favorite things. I don't know if it's really necessary, but I would get a towel that you don't use or don't care for and use that instead. All right, so the second thing that I love and use almost every time is a hair dryer. I use acrylics to paint, and I know they paint, you know, they dry quickly, but I am very impatient sometimes and I want things to speed up because I'm in the flow and I need to get going with my idea. And what helps me do that? A hair dryer. So if you are impatient like me, this is a must. Maybe you shouldn't be as impatient as me. You can take your time. It just helps me speed my process along, especially when it comes to drying things. Like when I did this and I was gilding it, I had to wait for it to get tacky, but I should have just used this. So yeah. The next thing is gesso. I personally don't think this is completely necessary if you're just getting started, because I also didn't think it was necessary, nor did I use it when I first started, but it's really nice. You just put it on your canvas and you scrape it along, and this actually comes along with the other thing that I love. Is this. This is a cake scraper. Like you just, for cakes, it helps smooth out things, and I use it to smooth out gesso. So these work really well together, and it just gets in all the grooves and crevices of your canvas so that when you go back and you paint over for the first time, it's very smooth. Feels really nice. But I've been told even on the primed canvases that you should be using gesso, so I just do what I'm told because I feel like it's right. Alright, next is frog tape. It's green. It's literally called frog tape. I didn't know about this till I think last year. I was using masking tape, the blue painter's tape, and that worked. But what would happen is I would use it in my sketchbook and then part of the painting would start lifting with it. But with the frog tape, I get really crisp edges. I do think they have different sizes. I need to get a smaller size because it does get in my way on other paintings, but frog tape, crispy lines, I'm telling you. And speaking of sketchbooks, I've got these. So this is my recommendation sketchbook. It is the Strathmore Mixed Media, 64 pages. This is a new one, this is a used one. This is my second one. I have another one. And also I get a clip. The clip, I thought it was useless again, and you just hold it and then you put the clip here. I have two, I don't know where the other one is. And then you just paint on this side, it helps keep it down. But this is a really good type of thick paper. You can use any mediums on. I have oil pastels in here. I did water paint. I have obviously acrylics. I don't think I have an oil painting in here yet, but I could do an oil painting in here because it can handle it. It's a little bit beat up, but something about it just feels artistic, you know? Like it has a life of its own, and it's so nice to just be able to go back and just, you know, feel like I was doing something. I definitely feel like there's things that people say that you need as a beginning artist that you definitely don't. And one of those things is brushes. So my favorite brushes are these guys. So these are 3 different kinds of brushes. This brush is a nail art brush. Super thin. I absolutely love this brush. I use it basically every single time that I paint. It gets the littlest lines. It's so nice. I freaking love this brush. Got it on Amazon. A pack of like 3 or 4. It was like $5 maybe. Super cheap. You don't need to go to like Michael's or an art store and get one of those super expensive. Because look at this. I have this brush too. Not as thin obviously, but guess how much this brush was? This brush was $12. This brush was $12. $12. And I don't like this brush as much as I like this one. You can see hold on, the differences. Now, come on now. It's no brainer. So the second thing is these 2 different brushes. I got this pack on Amazon. They're wood. They're falling apart now. They still work. I literally don't care. I use these brushes every time, and I use these ones. I found that I like square brushes. These are from Michaels. So basically what I did, because you know we were on a budget and we're still on a budget, is that you just need to buy packs of brushes. It really doesn't matter, in my opinion, just my opinion, what kind of brushes you use, because as long as the paint gets on there, you're in there and you're doing all this, it's gonna work out. So yeah, this was like a pack of there was a lot of them. I think there was 12 brushes. If I find it, I'll link it below. And this one was from Michaels, and these were also a pack of brushes. I think there was 10. They're flat brushes, flat square, and then these was just like a mix mash bundle of everything. So I just personally think that you don't need to spend the majority of your budget on brushes. I think spending that money on canvases is a better idea, in my opinion. I used to paint on thinner canvases, but once I upgraded to these thicker ones, these are about, what are these, an inch thick versus like a half an inch, makes a complete difference. Or is this 2 inches? But anyway, it's not thin. I think spending my money on canvases I like better than spending it on brushes, because whatever brush I use, it depends on how I use it versus on how good the brush is. It's all catered up to my skills. Not that I'm tooting my own horn, but we can make it work, whatever it is. It's not about the brushes, it's about the person behind the brush. So yes, so the next thing important, and one of my favorites, is paint, obviously. So I kind of have like a weird relationship with paint, I feel like, because I use a little bit of everything. For my white paint, the paint that I usually mix with everything, it's Craft Smart. It's a cheap white paint, yes it is, but it gets the job done. I mix it, I can buy a lot of it, and it works. It helps, all right. The next paint that I use this brand the most of for this paint. It's Liquitex basic acrylic, and they usually get the big ones. They have smaller ones like this size, so you see the size difference. I usually get the big ones because obviously I'm painting quite a bit and on bigger canvases, so I need a little bit more paint to make it work for me. So Liquitex, if you ever wanna sponsor me, I mean, girl, I'll say yes. So the other two types of paint that I use, I just really started getting into them, I think within the last like a year and a half, 2 years, is golden acrylics. Yeah, I kind of really like them. And Winsor Newton. I've heard really good things about these, the Winsor Newton, because they have colors that I don't want to mix. Like this like pale violet, it says. It's really nice to just have a color that you know you're going to want to use and just use it instead of having to sit there and mix it, which is fine. I do it often, but it's just nice to just be like, oh yay, here's the color, I'm going to use it. And with the golden acrylics, I really like these because they are very thick, they're very nice and creamy, and yeah, I just seem to just add a little bit of this to a lot of my stuff. But they are expensive, these two, a little bit more expensive. If I had to, I'd do these. And what I started with was this Artist Loft. These also work. These are not as pigmented, and they do frustrate me now that I've moved on to better paints, but these also work. But these are my favorites. These work, these are my favorites. Heads up. So I really only have 2 more things I think that are like my favorites of my art supplies. Maybe 3. I forgot to say my apron. I love this apron. This apron is from Amazon. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this little thingy here. I really like it. I like it so much. I have another apron that I used to use in high school when I was in clay club, and I love that apron as well, but I don't use that one as much because it started breaking and I felt really self-conscious. I didn't want to break it, so I was like, okay, let's just get something new. This was on Amazon. I'll also link it below if I can find it again. It wasn't super expensive, and obviously I'm getting a good amount of use on it. It has resin all over it. Resin is another one of my favorite things to work with. There's resin on this. And that's a resin butterfly. And you can't see these, but there's resin danglies right here. I don't really know what my thing is with resin. I love some resin. I also like little cups, and what I basically use these for is I put in one main color, mix it with water, and that's usually a splat color I put on. It's so handy to have these little cups on hand because they help, and instead of mixing it on a plate and having it spread around, it's all contained, so it's much easier to just dip and splat and dip and splat. It works. I also use these for when I'm doing little resin projects, and I mix like little bits of resin in here when I need to color them. They work. They're pretty handy. They work for a lot of different things. And as you can see, maybe you can't see, but I use this for like a white splat, and there's paint in there, but I'm gonna reuse it, so you know, makes it cost effective if I keep getting use out of it. And the last thing, which is probably my favorite, I think everyone should have one, a palette. This is used on both sides. This is my current side. It has a bigger mound of white paint. This is the past side, and I have more of these. Oh my god. I have 3 of these. I also got these on Amazon, and I have 2 more that came in the pack. I think it was a 4-pack, and I got one, I think I got one at Michael's and the rest on Amazon or from Michael's. I can't remember. I'm gonna try to find these because I like this side specifically. It's not too thick. You know, you can put your thumb in here, you can hold it like this, or put your brushes, or hold it however you want, or just hold it like this. But I absolutely think that getting a palette was a game changer for me. It really helped me see my colors and mix them properly versus putting it on a plate and then just kind of piling colors on top of each other. Well, it does look like I did do it on top of each other, but I don't know. I can't say a palette is a bad decision. You could just use a plate, but I would say I love palettes and I think they work really well. And then, you know, you guys just have a little piece of art at the end when you're done using it. Both sides are completely covered in paint. And it's kind of like a little history of where you started painting. I don't know, there's something sentimental about it. I quite like them. Yeah, so that's pretty much everything I have for today. I hope you liked this video. I went a little bit more in depth about the supplies that I use and the supplies that I think beginners could really use and my favorite art supplies. I hope it really came across. Everything I showed today I really love, and I use basically every single time that I paint, whether it's in my sketchbook or on canvas or on paper. So yeah, I hope you like this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe, or give it a want. It does help me out though. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Drink some water. I love you. Bye. Oh, I'm done. Bye.